the heart of Manhattan, where luxury glitters and chaos lurks behind every gilded corner, one woman is about to face the storm she never expected. Sophia Loren, CEO, perfectionist, untouchable in the boardroom. But today, she's stepping into a world she can't control, a best friend's wedding. Dresses in disarray, florists in panic, and then, him. Ethan Cole, charming, infuriating, and dangerously irresistible. Will Sophia manage the wedding, or will the most unexpected kind of chaos, one she can't negotiate or strategize, sweep her off her feet? This is The Best Man's Vow. And trust me, you won't want to miss a second. Stay on the Velvet Story. Chapter 1: The Wedding Storm. The Loren family car glided to a stop beneath the glittering glass canopy of the St. Regis Hotel. It was one of those August afternoons in Manhattan where the heat shimmered off the pavement, sticky and relentless, and yet everything here gleamed as though it were immune to weather, time, and the chaos of the city outside. Inside the car, Sophia Loren scrolled through her phone, her manicured thumb swiping quickly as she flicked between emails. A dozen subject lines glared back at her: distribution rights in Milan, a licensing contract in Dubai, one designer threatening to walk off a project unless she doubled his fee. All perfectly manageable, all better distractions than what she was actually here for. A wedding, her best friend's wedding. Sophia drew in a long breath and set the phone face down on the leather seat beside her. The thought of walking into this building without a spreadsheet or contract in her hand made her skin prickle with restlessness. In boardrooms she was untouchable, crisp, commanding, and utterly in control. But weddings? Weddings made her feel oddly exposed. She had always thought of them as spectacles, glittering, champagne-soaked performances, where even the most intelligent women turned themselves into fragile things in tulle and lace. Not Madeline, Sophia corrected herself quickly. Her best friend was radiant and capable, and her fiancé was a good man. They deserved every ounce of happiness. Still, the thought of being maid of honor was less appealing. Not because she wasn't honored, but because weddings came with one guaranteed hazard: expectations. And expectations were dangerous things. The car door opened. "Miss Loren," said the driver with a respectful nod. Sophia smoothed her cream silk blouse, collected her small Louis Vuitton carry-on, and stepped into the marble and gold grandeur of the St. Regis lobby. Her heels clicked sharply against the polished floor, her posture flawless despite the invisible weight pressing on her shoulders. The concierge spotted her instantly. "Miss Loren, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you with us again." He held out a bouquet of white roses, a gesture of hospitality reserved only for their most elite guests. "Thank you," she said warmly, though she didn't linger. Politeness was second nature to her. But she had no interest in theatrics. Her focus was upstairs. The elevator chimed open, and as it carried her upward, Sophia caught her reflection in the mirrored panel. High cheekbones, sharp hazel eyes, a sweep of dark hair pinned neatly at her nape. People called her intimidating, but she knew it wasn't her looks. It was the way she moved through the world, as if she knew her worth and dared anyone to question it. When the doors opened to the bridal suite, however, all that calm precision was immediately assaulted by chaos. The room looked like a hurricane of silk, flowers, and sequins. Dresses in garment bags hung on every available hook. Boxes of decor cluttered the floor. Someone had knocked over a tower of wedding favors, scattering gilded macaroons across a Persian rug. And in the center of it all, pacing like a general watching her troops retreat, was Madeline Chase. Her silk pajama set was wrinkled, her usually glossy hair sticking up at odd angles, and she clutched her phone like it was both weapon and lifeline. The florist sent hydrangeas instead of peonies. She wailed, and the quartet cancelled because the cellist had emergency surgery. And don't even get me started on the ring bearer. His mother says he refuses to wear the tuxedo. Sophia set her bag down gently and crossed the room, already pulling a notepad and pen from her tote. "All right, let's slow down. One disaster at a time." Madeline turned, eyes wide. "Sophia, thank God. If anyone can save this wedding, it's you. First, Sophia said calmly, jotting down notes. Florist, substitute peonies from another vendor. I know one uptown who owes me a favor. Music, we can find a new quartet or a small jazz ensemble. It'll actually be more modern. Ring bearer, bribery with gummy bears always works. Trust me. Madeline blinked, as though Sophia had just parted the Red Sea. You make it sound so easy. It is easy, Sophia replied, lips quirking. Compared to negotiating with a European luxury conglomerate about distribution rights. Madeline burst into half-hysterical laughter, and the harried assistant perched on the sofa gave Sophia a look of pure gratitude. For a moment, Sophia let herself feel smug. She was good at this, crisis management, efficiency, control. This was her comfort zone. Then the suite door swung open, and everything shifted. The man who walked in had the kind of presence that instantly rearranged the air in a room. Tall, broad-shouldered, with a tailored charcoal suit that looked like it had been cut directly onto his frame. His hair was a shade too unruly for corporate polish, dark waves that defied perfect order, and his eyes, hazel, with flecks of gold that caught the light, swept over the chaos with amused calm. Crisis control already in session? His voice was deep, confident, threaded with a kind of effortless amusement that drew attention without demanding it. Madeline nearly sagged in relief. Ethan. Perfect timing. Sophia's pen stilled on the page. Ethan Cole. She recognized the name immediately. The groom's best friend. A venture capitalist with a reputation for sharp deals, philanthropy, and just enough flirty charm to keep society magazines busy. New York's most eligible bachelor, the headlines called him. Though Sophia had never bothered to meet him. Until now. And unfortunately, his eyes, keen, observant, were locked on her. Ethan, this is Sophia Loren, my maid of honor. Sophia, Ethan Cole. He stepped closer, extending his hand, his smile slow and disarmingly assured. Sophia Loren. The Sophia Loren, CEO, Empire Builder, Forbes darling? Sophia clasped his hand briefly. Depends who's asking. Just a man very glad to meet the woman who might actually keep this wedding from imploding. His voice had warmth, but his words carried a spark that felt deliberate. She arched a brow. I didn't realize best men were in the business of compliments. Only when they're deserved. His grin widened, playful but not careless. His gaze lingered, not invasive, but attentive, as though he was cataloguing every detail. Sophia released his hand first, turning back to her notes. I'll take that under advisement. But her pulse betrayed her, thudding faster than she liked. The storm, she realized, had only just begun. Chapter 2 Flowers, Fiascos, and Flirtation. Sophia Loren believed in efficiency. Problems existed to be solved, and solved quickly, preferably with minimal fuss. Unfortunately, weddings seemed allergic to efficiency. By the following morning, she was already waist-deep in what could only be described as luxurious chaos. The hotel ballroom was a battlefield, floral boxes stacked haphazardly along the wall, assistants arguing over table placements, and one very distraught florist wringing her hands in apology. I swear, Miss Loren, the peonies were scheduled, but our supplier, he sent hydrangeas instead. They're fresh, beautiful, but I understand they're not what the bride requested. Sophia folded her arms. Her silk blouse, pale blue today, was pristine despite the humidity of the over-air-conditioned ballroom. Hydrangeas are not peonies. They don't even pretend to be peonies. The florist wilted further. Sophia pinched the bridge of her nose. Fine, we'll fix it. I'll make some calls, see what stock can be redirected. Or, came a familiar baritone voice behind her, we can find a way to make hydrangeas look like the bride wanted them all along. Sophia turned, already knowing who it was. Ethan Cole stood in the ballroom doorway, hands casually tucked in his pockets, looking as though he belonged there far more than any of the frantic wedding staff. Today, his suit jacket was draped over one arm, sleeves rolled up just enough to reveal strong forearms. His expression was amused, and, of course, directed squarely at her. "Do you follow me around, Mr. Cole?" Sophia asked dryly. "Not yet," he replied, grin lazy but sharp. "But I'm open to the idea." The florist coughed delicately, clearly caught between relief and embarrassment at Ethan's arrival. Sophia straightened, flipping open her phone. "Excuse me, I have vendors to call." But Ethan stepped closer, lowering his voice as though this were a private conversation in the middle of chaos. "You know, hydrangeas can symbolize gratitude and heartfelt emotion. Isn't that the kind of thing brides love to hear?" Sophia gave him a flat look. "You read that on a wedding blog, didn't you?" He leaned in just slightly, hazel eyes glinting with amusement. "Maybe, or maybe I just know things." "Do you also know," she countered, "that Madeline specifically chose peonies because they symbolize prosperity and romance? Hydrangeas are excessive apology flowers." "So?" Ethan shrugged, unbothered. "Every marriage needs apologies. Might as well start early." For a second, Sophia almost smiled. Almost. Instead, she snapped her phone shut. "I'm calling in a replacement shipment. End of story." Or, Ethan said smoothly, "we make a deal. If you can't get the peonies here on time, you let me handle the hydrangeas." No arguments. Sophia narrowed her eyes. "You handle flowers?" "Stranger things have happened," he said with an easy confidence. "Trust me, I'm good at turning disasters into advantages." "Or into headlines," she muttered. Ethan chuckled. "You wound me." They spent the next hour side by side, Sophia on the phone with every florist in Manhattan, Ethan sketching absurd mock-ups of hydrangea centerpieces on a scrap of paper he'd borrowed from an assistant. "See," he said, sliding one of his sketches toward her. "If you cluster them tightly and add candlelight, they'll look romantic, not funereal." Sophia glanced at the drawing. "That looks like a cauliflower wearing pearls." "Ah," he said gravely. "So you do appreciate my artistic genius." She bit back a laugh, catching herself just before it slipped out. "You are insufferable. And yet you haven't walked away." His tone was light, but his gaze lingered on her, steady and interested in a way that made her stomach tighten. Sophia ignored the warmth rising in her cheeks and dialed another florist. By noon, she'd secured a small shipment of peonies from a contact in Queens, limited, but enough for the bridal bouquet and a few key arrangements. The rest would have to be hydrangeas, like it or not. Madeline, when told, nearly wept with gratitude. "You are a lifesaver." Sophia smiled, relieved. "It's handled." "Not alone," Ethan said casually, strolling in just as Madeline finished hugging her. "We're a team now." Sophia shot him a look. "We are not a team." Ethan leaned lazily against the doorframe, eyes dancing. "We worked together on flowers. That's teamwork." Next stop, world domination. Madeline glanced between them, something sly flickering in her tired eyes. "Oh, this is interesting." "It's nothing," Sophia said quickly. "Just coordination." "Sure," Madeline replied, unconvinced. Ethan gave a mock bow. "Always a pleasure, ladies." As he left the suite, Sophia exhaled slowly, pressing her fingers against her temple. The man was impossible, infuriating, distracting, and worst of all, she hadn't enjoyed working with someone in a very long time. Chapter 3 Dancing Trouble. Sophia Loren had survived florists, missing peonies, and a small-scale hotel ballroom crisis. She told herself she was prepared for anything. She was not, however, prepared for the sheer awkwardness of a wedding rehearsal dance. The rehearsal was set in the same grand ballroom where the wedding would take place, a space so vast that the chandeliers looked like stars suspended above their heads. Mirrors lined the walls, doubling the number of panicked faces. Sophia, clipboard in hand, took a deep breath and reminded herself, "You can handle this." The bride, Madeline, looked radiant despite the exhaustion etched under her eyes. The groom, Jeremy, seemed blissfully unaware of the chaos around him. And then came the music. "Ladies and gentlemen," the wedding coordinator announced, clapping her hands. "Please pair off for the first dance rehearsal." Sophia's heart sank as a hand touched her elbow. She turned, expecting another panicked guest or frazzled assistant. Instead, she met Ethan Cole's calm, slightly teasing gaze. "You get to be my partner," he said smoothly, voice carrying just enough amusement to make her pulse quicken. I can't dance," Sophia blurted, glancing at the polished floor. "Not in heels. Not ever." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "I assure you, neither can I. That's why it'll be fun." Fun. The word made Sophia groan internally. Fun was a luxury she couldn't afford. Yet here he was, standing close enough that she could feel the faint warmth from his suit jacket. "Fun for you, maybe," she muttered, reluctantly letting him guide her to the center of the floor. The music began, a slow, elegant waltz. Ethan offered his hand politely, not too forceful, letting her take the lead in a way that gave her control without making her feel awkward. For 30 seconds, it was tolerable. Then Sophia's heel caught on the hem of her dress. She stumbled forward, sending them both wobbling dangerously. Ethan, quick as a cat, steadied her with a firm hand on her waist and a whisper. "See, fun." Sophia's cheeks flushed. "You're enjoying this far too much. Not nearly as much as I'm seeing you survive it." She rolled her eyes, but couldn't help the corner of her mouth twitching into a small smile. The next 20 minutes were a comedy of errors. Sophia stepping on Ethan's toes. Ethan twirling her a moment too quickly, nearly sending her into a side table of champagne glasses. Jeremy and Madeline watching with polite horror, trying not to intervene. The flower girl wandering into the dance floor mid-step, demanding to be spun. And through it all, Ethan maintained that infuriatingly calm composure. Teasing her gently when she faltered, holding her steady when she panicked, and somehow, impossibly, making it fun. "You realize," she panted during a brief pause, "that in any other context, I would loathe you right now." "And yet," he countered, brushing a strand of hair from her face with an absurdly delicate flick of his fingers, "you don't." Sophia's pulse betrayed her before she could formulate a response. She turned her face, hoping he didn't notice the faint warmth creeping into her cheeks. But he did notice. He always noticed. Midway through the rehearsal, disaster struck. Madeline's veil, previously pinned carefully, caught on a nearby chandelier. With a loud rip, it tore halfway down the intricate lace. The bride shrieked, assistants scrambled, and Sophia felt herself caught between professional composure and sheer panic. "Stay calm," Ethan murmured, sliding an arm around her back as they navigated the chaos toward safety. "We've handled worse." "Worse?" Sophia exclaimed, gesturing to the torn veil fluttering like a wounded bird. "Trust me." He gave her that infuriatingly confident smile that somehow made the world pause. "We'll fix it. Together. Together." The word resonated in Sophia's mind. She didn't want to admit that she liked saying it. Liked him saying it. They moved like a single unit through the ballroom. Ethan steady, composed, guiding her around overturned flower vases and panicked bridesmaids. Sophia couldn't help noticing how effortlessly he commanded attention without demanding it. When the chaos finally settled, the rehearsal coordinator sighed in relief. "I don't know how you two did it, but thank you." Ethan gave a small bow. "All in a day's work. Isn't that right, Ms. Laurent?" Sophia pressed her lips together to stop a grin. "Don't push it, Cole." "But I will," he said softly, leaning just close enough that she caught a faint scent of his cologne, clean, warm, subtle, and strangely intoxicating. Sophia cleared her throat and turned, fighting the rising heat in her chest. "Focus. This is Madeline's wedding, not this." Later, as the rehearsal drew to a close, Sophia retreated to a quiet corner of the ballroom, trying to compose herself. She reflected on Ethan's presence, on how fun, terrifyingly fun, he made everything feel. "Thought you might need a break," came his voice from behind. She turned to find him leaning casually against a pillar, arms crossed, eyes twinkling with amusement. "I don't need a break," she said stiffly. "You look like you do." He gestured at her slightly rumpled blouse, the faint sheen of sweat at her temple, the tiny crease in her skirt where she'd been tugging it nervously. I'm just offering professional observation. Sophia narrowed her eyes, though a reluctant smile tugged at her lips. Professional observation, huh? I see. And does your professional observation often involve making me flustered? He shrugged, innocently. Only when unavoidable. The words sent a spark of warmth through her that she didn't like to admit. She looked away, studying the polished floor, the glittering chandeliers. He's infuriating, charming, insufferable, and I can't stop thinking about him. Ethan stepped closer, still calm, still flirty, but never crossing the line. You handled that rehearsal brilliantly. By the way, not a scratch on you, or anyone else, miraculously. Sophia exhaled, letting herself finally relax. We survived. Yes, he said, voice low and teasing, we did. But just barely. So, tell me, shall we call it a truce for today? She couldn't help the laugh that escaped her. Truce. And for the first time in days, Sophia allowed herself to feel something she hadn't in a long while, the thrill of letting go, even if just a little. Because with Ethan Cole, the chaos didn't seem so bad. Sophia thought she could handle anything. Until a torn veil, a ballroom of disasters, and one dangerously charming man reminded her, control isn't everything. But with Ethan Cole by her side, chaos suddenly feels a lot like fun. Will their flirtation survive the wedding storm? Or is the real danger the sparks neither of them can resist? Join us next time for more of The Best Man's Vow. You won't believe what happens when love meets organized chaos only on The Velvet Story.